welcome back. I, true to form, was feeling inspired by nature once again. And we just had, in the northern hemisphere, we had the equinox. And some themes and ideas that came up with that were some questions, actually, that I thought I would share with you, things that I'm going to be pondering and working with, and it would be lovely to hear from any of you about how this is settling for you. But part of this northern hemisphere, we're going into springtime. And it's interesting, I was having some discussions with people around the complaint of weather, because here in Chicago, a very familiar pattern of having some really beautiful, nice days and spring days. Everyone was out walking, and you can see the tulips starting to break through the ground and some of the plants and flowers beginning to bud out of the ground. And someone made the remark of, yeah, but we have to get through this like crappy every day is different season. And in the past, I probably that would have really resonated. There's still a part of me that really resonates. Like, the gloomy, rainy, cold days of spring are not what typically come to mind when we think about spring. We think about warmth and the light returning and being able to get out and do more. So it struck me because I felt like, yes, this is exactly the energy as a collective that I feel like we struggle with. There is this ideal or idea of what nature or the elements or even in our lives, what this should or could look like. And then there is very much the reality of it, and how much time, energy, emotions do we spend on resisting the actual flow, the actual reality that, yeah, we have these gloomy, rainy days in spring because that's what is needed to bring all of that beauty that we think about. And to me, this brought up the idea in a mental awareness is, how much of the time are we spending choosing to see the negative, right? Our brains are hardwired to detect the threatening thing, not the happy thing. And also, how much time do we spend on rejecting reality of, this is unpleasant, or this is not what I expected or not what I wanted. Here I am fighting this internally, being able or willing to kind of readjust, reacclimate. So the questions that then arose for me as I was sitting with this that I wanted to share were, first, what am I choosing? So sometimes choice doesn't even feel possible. Sometimes we really just have to sit in the noticing and becoming aware of where we're at or what's going on in the situation, and find the edge of our comfort or our ability to think about what could be possible just right here in this moment, given these circumstances. This is what opens us up into the question of, and now what am I choosing? What am I choosing into? And I say it that way because for me, there are things that just inevitably come up. You know, there's triggers, there's vulnerabilities. It's hard being a person in this world. And trying to keep things balanced or know what the next best thing to do for ourselves or with others is really, truly about. And it's really easy to just get lost in that. And I think especially this season in spring, where things are thawing out, things are coming into a time of natural expansion, it can be really easy to get lost in some of this. And whatever you have going on in your own individual context of life, in your world within yourself, this can also be very predominant. This idea of what am I choosing into and what am I choosing for today? That's going to be my question to myself in my journaling and just in a moment that might be meeting my expectations or going a little differently. I'm going to bring myself back to that question of what do I want to choose in this moment? What do I have the capacity for? What feels possible for me to choose into? So something hopefully that you can also work with in this way. The other questions that were coming up had to do when I was reflecting on the season. Again, this idea of things coming into bloom, movement happening around us and within us. Remembering that we're not separate from nature. We're not even just one part of nature. Nature is us. We are nature. So all that's happening around us, what's happening in the trees and the plants, is also happening within us. And to ask myself, and the question that I hope you can start asking yourself is, what is being asked of me to change? Is there some aspect of my life that's asking me to change? Is there some aspect of my life that is really no longer serving, that it's been very hard to maybe even think about letting go of or moving on from because it's just so overwhelming? This is the season to take heed of some of those things that we want to expand into a direction. We want to choose into something. And where is life challenging us or asking us to make those changes? And then the final question is, how can I use this time? How can I use the energy of what's going on either in the world or in nature, in the expansion of the daylight? How can I use that natural pattern of change to motivate or inspire me to then make those changes? So the sequence of questioning doesn't have to go in an order, but I feel like it does kind of flow into finding that ability to choose. And what am I choosing into? Understanding what is no longer serving, or what is life asking me to change or challenge myself. And then how do I use the flow and the natural expansion of this time to implement some of those things. And as always, holding space for yourself, holding the ability to rest when you need to rest. And I mean really resting, not laying down and then judging yourself or making a to-do list. Like, if you need to rest, rest. And continue to try to work with some of this awareness and some of these questions. I would love to hear from you guys if any of this is really resonating for you, or maybe you, like myself, when I hear people talk about some of these things, it's a reaffirmation for me that, like, yes, that is something I want to pay attention to, because I was already sort of thinking about these things in a certain way. So let me hear from you. Let me know if you have questions or anything that you want to share. And I hope that this finds you well and that you can work with some of this. And until next time, take care.